The glittering lights of Los Angeles have always served as a beautiful but blinding backdrop for the world of global celebrity, where the line between public spectacle and private vulnerability is often entirely erased. For decades, the palm-lined boulevards and crowded freeways of Southern California have played host to the triumphs and tribulations of icons who live their lives under the relentless glare of the spotlight. In this city of dreams and high stakes, the constant pressure of public expectation can turn even the simplest moment into a national headline, capturing the fascination of millions around the globe. It is a place where the world watches every movement, analyzing every gesture, and waiting for the next dramatic chapter to unfold in real time. As viewers who follow these stories know all too well, the narrative of fame is rarely straightforward, and it frequently takes unexpected turns that leave audiences both mesmerized and deeply concerned. Before we dive into the staggering events of this latest mystery that has captivated the public eye, please take a brief moment to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a breaking update from the heart of the entertainment world. The story that is currently unfolding on the busy roads of Southern California is one that demands our full attention as it combines the elements of nostalgia, danger, and a deeply complicated personal history that has been decades in the making. It was just another typical Wednesday afternoon on the packed lanes of the 101 Freeway, a major transportation artery that cuts directly through the heart of Studio City. Commuters and local drivers were navigating the steady, heavy stream of Los Angeles traffic, moving along at a standard freeway pace of around 45 miles per hour. The sun was beating down on the asphalt as a sleek black Mercedes luxury sport utility vehicle cruised along the highway, having recently traveled all the way from the upscale community of Thousand Oaks. To the casual observer, it appeared to be just another high-end automobile navigating the endless concrete expanses of the city. However, within moments, this ordinary drive transformed into a jaw-dropping public spectacle that left fellow motorists doing absolute double takes and staring in complete disbelief at what was happening right in front of them. Rising up from the center of the moving vehicle, standing fully upright through the open moonroof, was none other than a global pop superstar whose face and name are recognized in virtually every corner of the earth. The individual dominating the freeway view was the 44-year-old musical icon, a woman who has spent nearly her entire life under the intense scrutiny of the public eye. With her distinctive blonde hair whipping wildly in the warm summer wind, she stood tall above the roofline of the speeding Mercedes, completely exposed to the elements and to the astonished gazes of dozens of drivers surrounding her SUV. She was dressed in a striking plunging mini dress, creating a highly visible and dramatic silhouette against the backdrop of the crowded Southern California highway. For roughly 2 full minutes, according to stunned eyewitness estimates, she remained in this highly precarious position as the vehicle maintained its steady pace along the packed freeway. She seemed completely unfazed by the inherent dangers of the situation or the steady stream of traffic rushing past her, apparently lost in a world of her own making, while the rest of the world looked on with a mixture of awe and profound anxiety. What made the scene truly surreal for those witnessing it was a specific, deliberate gesture that instantly triggered a wave of intense nostalgia and recognition. At one point during this high-speed freeway display, the superstar stretched both of her arms wide across the roof of the moving vehicle and threw her head back completely. It was a dramatic, defiant pose that was instantly reminiscent of her iconic music videos from the late 90s and early 2000s, a visual echo of the youthful energy and choreography that originally propelled her to the absolute pinnacle of global stardom. To see that exact same posture replicated not on a closed video set or a grand concert stage, but amidst the chaotic and hazardous environment of a live Los Angeles freeway, was a moment of pure theatricality that blurred the line between artistic expression and erratic real-world behavior. It was an image that immediately began to circulate, sparking intense conversation about what could possibly motivate such a risky and public stunt. After the intense 2-minute display on the highway, the black Mercedes eventually guided its way toward an exit, pulling off the main thoroughfare and rolling into a nearby local gas station. As the vehicle came to a stop, the atmosphere inside and around the car seemed to shift from dramatic intensity to casual lightheartedness. Popstar was observed laughing, smiling, and chatting amiably with her mystery chauffeur, a male companion who has recently been linked to her in media reports as a potential new romantic interest. This light-hearted interaction stood in stark contrast to the dangerous nature of the stunt that had just occurred on the freeway only moments prior. For onlookers and photography crews capturing the moment, the laughter and easygoing demeanor only added more layers of confusion to an already baffling situation, raising urgent questions about the singer's current state of mind and the motivations behind her increasingly unpredictable public appearances. The controversy did not end on the asphalt of the Studio City Freeway, as the global icon chose to break her silence and address the mounting public concern in a characteristic fashion. Taking to her highly followed social media platform over the weekend, she shared the photograph of herself hanging outside of the moving sport utility vehicle, confronting the narrative head-on. In her caption, she penned a series of emotional words, stating that she was arching her back to the heavens to God, trying to get back all the years that she had missed. This raw and poetic explanation hinted at a deep-seated desire for liberation and a longing to reclaim a youth and freedom that had been restricted for so long. However, it was the accompanying slide in her social media post that truly sent shockwaves through her fanbase and the media alike. Along with the Freeway photo, she uploaded a deeply unsettling and disturbing image depicting a bruised young girl, creating a jarring visual juxtaposition that left many viewers feeling profoundly uneasy accompanying this second troubling photograph. The singer added a cryptic and defensive statement aimed directly at her critics and the public at large. She wrote that unfortunately, what people did not see is what her reality used to look like in the past, pointing directly to the image of the bruised child, before forcefully concluding with the words, "Not anymore." This defensive response seemed to suggest that her current actions, no matter how dangerous or erratic they might appear to an outside observer, are a form of personal celebration and a rejection of a much darker, painful past that she was forced to endure. While her words offered a glimpse into her personal perspective, the combination of high-speed freeway stunts and disturbing imagery has only deepened the concern of those who wish to see her safe and stable, marking yet another turbulent chapter in a life that remains perpetually on display. The shocking images of a global pop icon standing tall through a moving vehicle's moonroof on a busy California highway did not simply appear out of nowhere, but rather served as the latest dramatic peak in a timeline filled with growing tension and legal complications. To truly comprehend the weight of this dangerous freeway display, one must look back just a few short months prior to a series of escalating incidents that have kept the singer in the crosshairs of law enforcement and public scrutiny. The carefree laughter shared with her mystery companion at that Studio City gas station stood in direct defiance of a highly restrictive legal reality that she had only recently negotiated. Behind the scenes of her public life, a complex web of court appearances, strict probationary guidelines, and mounting behavioral concerns had already been painting a picture of an icon living on the absolute edge of stability. The freeway stunt was not an isolated burst of spontaneous energy, but the continuation of a long and turbulent stretch that has left fans, legal experts, and loved ones deeply worried about what might happen next. Just a short time before this latest highway incident made waves across the internet, the 44-year-old superstar had managed to resolve a highly publicized and deeply concerning legal battle stemming from a serious traffic stop. This high-profile driving under the influence case concluded with a plea agreement where she pled guilty to a significantly reduced reckless driving charge, a specific legal designation frequently referred to in the California judicial system as a wet reckless. The original arrest, which took place in the early spring on March 4th, had sent shockwaves through her global community of supporters as video evidence eventually leaked to the public. The subsequent legal resolution allowed the singer to completely avoid spending time behind bars, which had been a very real and frightening possibility given the nature of the charges. But it came at a very steep psychological and administrative cost that dramatically altered her daily freedoms, while she successfully avoided a jail cell. The court imposed a strict and uncompromising sentence that placed the pop star under a microscopic level of legal supervision. A judge sentenced her to 12 months of formal probation, ordered her to pay a $571 fine, and mandated that she successfully complete 30 full hours of specialized driving under the influence education classes. More importantly, the agreement carried incredibly rigid conditions regarding her personal conduct and daily habits. Under the strict terms of her active probation, she is absolutely barred from operating any motor vehicle with even the slightest trace of an intoxicant in her system. Furthermore, she must immediately submit to breath, blood, urine, or saliva testing at any moment if requested by law enforcement officers, and she is legally prohibited from possessing or using any drugs or marijuana unless backed by a valid, medically necessary prescription, This tight legal net meant that any future misstep on the road could carry catastrophic consequences for her freedom. Remarkably, the gravity of this legal settlement did not seem to deter the singer from entering situations that would immediately catch the attention of the public and the press. In fact, just days after her legal team finalized the plea agreement, another headline-grabbing evening unfolded that showcased her unpredictable behavior in vivid detail. Closed-circuit television footage obtained exclusively by media outlets captured the pop star visiting a well-known local establishment called Wines of the World, located in the neighborhood of Sherman Oaks. Accompanied by two companions, the singer was seen wandering through the retail aisles, seemingly in high spirits. In a moment that blurred the line between casual fun and public eccentricity, she broke into a sudden, impromptu dance routine right in the middle of the store while one of her male companions selected a large can of an alcoholic beverage. This lighthearted, music-filled moment in a liquor store aisle, however, was merely the prelude to a far more chaotic and dramatic evening across the street. The group eventually left the retail shop and made their way over to the Blue Dog Tavern, a popular local establishment where her presence quickly transformed a standard dinner service into a scene of intense commotion and confusion. Inside the restaurant, startled witnesses later claimed that the iconic performer began exhibiting highly erratic and disruptive behavior that stunned both staff and fellow diners. Reports quickly surfaced alleging that she was making unusual barking noises, creating an uncomfortable atmosphere within the dining room. More alarmingly, witnesses claimed that she was carrying a knife around the establishment and was seen smoking a cigarette right near the main entrance, in clear violation of local regulations. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense as onlookers watched her interactions with her male companion, whom she was reportedly feeding by hand while loudly proclaiming her affection, leaving many in the room wondering whether the dramatic displays were genuine expressions or a bizarre form of public performance art. The alarming allegations regarding a knife inside a crowded restaurant immediately sparked a firestorm of media at Enshin, generating sensational headlines that painted a picture of a superstar completely out of control. However, as is often the case in the frantic world of celebrity journalism, a subsequent investigation revealed an explanation that was far less sinister than the initial rumors suggested. Management and staff at the Blue Dog Tavern later clarified the situation, confirming that the singer had simply ordered a standard burger from the menu, an item that is routinely served to guests with a traditional steak knife for cutting. Her official representatives quickly issued a statement insisting that the entire evening had been completely blown out of proportion by overzealous onlookers. They maintained that she was simply enjoying a normal dinner with her personal assistant and her security guard, and that the implement in question was used for nothing other than dividing her meal. Though the incident still added fuel to the narrative of her ongoing instability. Compounding the anxiety surrounding her erratic social outings was the revelation that this active period of public behavior came immediately after she made the personal decision to cut short a voluntary 3-week stay at a specialized substance abuse rehabilitation facility. This sudden departure raised a barrage of fresh questions from industry insiders and fans who had hoped she was actively seeking a structured environment to process her recent legal and personal hurdles. Rather than finding a sense of calm after the conclusion of her conservatorship, the pop icon seemed to be moving at an incredibly frantic pace, navigating the high-pressure environment of Los Angeles without the protective boundaries that many felt were crucial for her long-term well-being. This sequence of ascent set the stage for a summer marked by increasingly bizarre headlines, making her sudden appearance through the moonroof of a speeding SUV on the freeway feel less like a random accident and more like a predictable escalation of a deeper, unresolved crisis. The dangerous display on the 101 freeway is unfortunately not an isolated incident of traffic noncompliance, but rather the latest installment in a deeply concerning pattern of automotive irregularities that have drawn the attention of authorities for years. Earlier this year, the pop star was captured on video swerving precariously across lanes on 2 completely separate occasions, raising immediate alarms about her focus behind the wheel. Not long after those highway incidents, she was observed stumbling out of a local establishment while tightly clutching a glass champagne flute, further intensifying public anxiety regarding her lifestyle choices. This string of events was compounded by an incident on February 12th, when she was spotted operating her Mercedes SUV around the streets of Los Angeles while holding a cellular device directly to her face in clear violation of California state law. While she was not formally charged for that specific phone violation, the recurring nature of these vehicular mishaps paints a vivid picture of a superstar navigating the public infrastructure with a profound disregard for standard regulations. Echoing a much older history of driving infractions that dates all the way back to a misdemeanor hit-and-run incident in 2007 and a subsequent citation for driving without a valid license in 2008, to truly understand why the sight of the singer standing through a moonroof on a crowded freeway causes such widespread panic among her global audience, one must examine the heavy historical weight of her nearly 2 decades of public personal struggles. For millions of fans who watched her rise to fame as a teenager, these erratic traffic displays instantly trigger memories of the harrowing psychological breakdown she suffered in 2007. That dark period, which remains one of the most heavily documented celebrity crises in modern pop culture history, saw the young star utterly overwhelmed by the relentless pursuit of the paparazzi. The world watched in collective shock as she famously shaved her head in a local salon and subsequently attacked a photographer's vehicle with a green umbrella before briefly checking into a treatment facility. The trauma of that era was further cemented by her deeply criticized performance at the 2007 MTV Video Music Awards, where her presentation of the hit song Gimme More became a lightning rod for media ridicule, signaling to the world that a fragile young woman was cracking under the immense weight of an unforgiving industry. The escalation of that historical crisis reached its tipping point in January of 2008, when an intense custody dispute over her young children with her ex-husband Kevin Federline resulted in a highly publicized emergency response and a subsequent involuntary psychiatric hold at a medical facility. It was this specific sequence of tragic events that directly prompted the implementation of the infamous court-ordered conservatorship, a legal arrangement that stripped her of personal and financial autonomy for a staggering 13 years. Under the strict control of her father and legal guardians, her life was micromanaged to an extraordinary degree, creating a pressure cooker of resentment and delayed development that only recently came to an end after a fierce, fan-led social movement. Because her historical trauma is so deeply intertwined with legal restrictions, medical interventions, and vehicular incidents, any current behavior that mirrors that past instability causes an immediate wave of alarm, as onlookers fear that the freedom she fought so hard to regain might inadvertently lead her back down a path of self-destruction in the years following the historic termination of her conservatorship. The pop icon has utilized her personal social media platforms as both a digital sanctuary and a direct window into her unfiltered reality, creating a steady stream of headlines with her provocative content. Her digital space has become a fascinating, often bewildering exhibition of her current state of mind, characterized by frequent topless photographs, high-energy dance videos filmed in the living room of her mansion, and deeply emotional written declarations. This unfiltered online presence took a particularly startling turn when she claimed to her millions of followers that an unidentified individual had broken into her home and stolen half of her extensive wardrobe along with a significant amount of cash. Rather than retreating in privacy, this incident prompted her to defiantly declare that she was going to actively rebel on social media, using her platform to lash out against perceived slights and to assert an aggressive form of independence that frequently blurs the line between personal empowerment and erratic vulnerability. This intense digital isolation is mirrored by a profound sense of estrangement within her own immediate family, as her relationships with her closest relatives have remained deeply fractured and strained in the post-conservatorship era. The singer was notably absent from a recent emotional family gathering held to celebrate her young niece Maddie's high school graduation, highlighting the deep chasm that still exists between the pop star and the people who raised her. Reports have consistently surfaced from sources close to the family, suggesting that her loved ones live in a constant state of fear that she is actively spiraling out of control, particularly following the intense emotional fallout surrounding the release of her ex-husband's deeply personal memoir. Her brief marriage to Kevin Federline, which lasted from 2004 to 2007, produced her 2 sons, from whom she has also experienced significant emotional and physical distance, leaving her largely isolated in her sprawling Southern California estate with only a rotating circle of employees and temporary companions. Ultimately, the surreal spectacle of a global musical icon arching her back toward the heavens from the roof of a moving SUV on a crowded Los Angeles freeway serves as a powerful metaphor for her current existence. To the singer herself, the act was clearly an expression of radical freedom, a literal attempt to breathe in